Hey, what's going on, guys? Brad Loeffler back here again on the Zendrop YouTube channel, here to answer some more of your questions in a Q&A style format. We got a lot of good feedback last time from people who enjoyed the Q&A format, so we're going to keep doing a lot more of these. Leave the questions that you want answered in the comments below, and we're going to get right into it.
What's the biggest misconception people still have about dropshipping in 2025?
People think that it's either saturated or it's dead and it's not coming back, but in reality, all it is a business model. And the business model is great because it allows you to start with very little capital and very little time and energy. You can find a product that's viral online, look at someone's ads, recreate them, and be running a product in a matter of hours versus in the past, you would have to get inventory, brick and mortar retail store, all this other stuff. Still today, even though dropshipping has been around for a while, you can have an idea and be running live ads to a product page and making sales within a matter of hours and have Zendrop do the fulfillment for you.
Is dropshipping dead or has it simply evolved?
No, again, I would say dropshipping is definitely not dead. Zendrop is growing rapidly and has been for many years. And so more and more people are getting involved in dropshipping. And again, it's not an end all be all. It is a business model that a lot of people get started with, and then they evolve into more of a brand building, business, right? Where they're actually buying inventory, customizing products, doing US 3PL, and we could help with all that stuff too. But again, dropshipping is simply a simple business model with very, very little barrier to entry to get started.
Third question is, what truly separates a real brand from a typical dropshipper?
I would say the two big things are customer service / customer experience and the actual branding of the product itself. So obviously if you get a random, package from China and doesn't have any branding on it, it's going to look like it was drop shipped. But as soon as you customize the packaging, customize the product, white label the product, which again, we can help you do all of that stuff, you really start to develop more of a brand image. Also, Zendrop's thank you card feature allows you to put thank you cards in every single package, really making it feel like it's coming from your brand. And the other thing is customer service and customer experience, which a lot of people lack on. They don't answer people fast. They don't have good customer support. And that really sets people apart if they want to start building a brand, because you're going to want repeat customers. You're going to want good feedback and good reviews on your store. And that stuff's really, really important.
Most common mistake that kills most stores before they ever take off?
I would say trying to be perfect, because you don't know what's actually going to work. So your version of perfect is potentially not even something that's going to work. And what a lot of people do is they spend a ton of time and a ton of energy trying to make something perfect before they launch it, when in reality, the way that you're going to succeed is by rapidly testing and rapidly iterating on those tests. So get something out that's imperfect, get something out that's live in the universe. Potential customers are seeing it, they're interacting with it, and then look at the data, look at what's happening, and make improvements from there. I think people get stuck on trying to make the perfect version of a product page, trying to make the perfect ad creative, trying to target the perfect, right people, when in reality, they just got to get something out to learn from, and then from there, tweak, optimize. And that's how I've always found success. It's how the most successful clients that we have always found success, is they have a very strong action bias. They just take action.
What does Zendrop do behind the scenes that separates them or makes them stand out from their competitors?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the main thing here would be transparency and the team that we have, because we have a huge operation in China, but the operation that we have in China is no different than some of our other major competitors. It's not that we're using different shipping lines. It's not that we're sourcing from different factories. Yes, we very likely have more buying power than other suppliers and can get cheaper pricing. But really what stands out and why clients stay with us for a long time is our customer service and the support that they get along the way. And having a team that they can rely on, that they know is going to be transparent, and that they know if something happens that Zendrop's always going to do the right thing and be there to support our merchants.
How does Zendrop handle quality control differently from AliExpress suppliers?
So for AliExpress specifically, AliExpress is simply just a marketplace of many different Chinese suppliers, and most of them are just trading companies that, they buy a few hundred units of a product from a factory, and then they say that they have it on hand and that they can ship it. So you really, if you're going to use something like AliExpress, would have to individually vet every single supplier that you work with to make sure they are legitimate. And you don't really know until it's like insurance, right? You don't really need it until it's a problem. You don't really know if a supplier is good until a problem happens. And oftentimes when a problem happens, it's too late. We've seen it countless times where clients come from other suppliers and they have their business is crippled because they either had really slow fulfillment times, or they had stock out issues, or they had product quality issues, and they basically got to start from zero. So it doesn't really become a problem until it's too late. And if you're going to use a platform like AliExpress, then you have to do all the vetting of those suppliers on your own. Whereas if you use Zendrop, you already know that we have a very vetted system and process for choosing suppliers and shipping methods, and that things are going to be done right the first time, so that you don't get to a place where you have an issue and it's too late.
What's the biggest logistics challenge you've had to solve at Zendrop?
Definitely COVID. For those of you that don't know, all of our shipments travel on commercial airlines in the cargo section from China all over the world. And obviously when COVID happened, a lot of airlines shut down or drastically reduced the amount of flights because no one was traveling, especially in and out of China. It was almost impossible to travel in and out of China. They were in serious lockdown for about 2 or 3 years. So we had to, for a couple months, right when COVID happened and the world kind of shut down, we had to figure out how are we going to actually get packages to customers. And it was actually a very busy time because it was a really great opportunity for new e-commerce entrepreneurs, because all the big companies didn't know if the world was going to end, and they kind of froze their budgets on advertising. So CPMs got really cheap. It became really cheap to advertise, and there was a flood of new orders coming in, and we had to figure out how to get these orders to customers. So the only option was to ship them on boats, and things took a lot longer than expected to get delivered, but we did deliver all the packages. And then a couple months later, commercial travel on airlines picked up again, and we were able to use our normal shipping methods of cargo planes. But yeah, that was definitely the trickiest situation, the toughest problem that I've faced logistically.
When should a dropshipper start thinking about custom packaging or branding?
I would say once you're at the 20 to 30 orders a day mark, that's kind of you've got really good traction, things are happening, things are scaling, and you want to solidify kind of the foundation of your brand before you start to really scale up. So I think 20 to 30 orders per day is a good time to start thinking about that. If you're just testing a new product, or you have a handful of orders per day, not worth your time and energy to start figuring out custom packaging, private labeling products. But 20 to 30 orders per day.
How do Zendrop sellers stay profitable when ad costs keep rising?
That's a great question, because what a lot of people don't really think about is they're thinking about the front end of their business, which is I'm driving ads to a landing page and trying to get people to convert to buy this product. And let's say you're selling a product for $30 and you get it from Zendrop, your supplier, for $10. You have $20 to acquire customers profitably, right? And so people just struggle, I think, in that situation to scale profitably, because you might be able to get a few sales at less than $20 cost per acquisition, but as soon as you start to scale, those costs go up. And that's where a lot of people run into issues, where they're trying to scale, they have this fixed amount of $20 that they need to acquire customers with, and it's just not a formula that's going to work. What you need to focus on is increasing the lifetime value or the lifetime gross margin of your customers to be able to spend more to acquire them. Because as you scale, things are going to get more expensive. So the things that you can do, there's really 2 levers you can pull. You can get your cost down to acquire customers, which is testing ad creatives rapidly, testing different audiences, testing different platforms. That's one side of the equation. There's not that much room on that side. It's a very competitive landscape. you're auctioning, you're competing in an auction with hundreds of thousands of other businesses trying to sell things. There's not that much wiggle room there. Every once in a while, you're going to find a banger. You're going to find a super winner ad creative. But your time is probably better spent, definitely in the beginning of starting a brand, of figuring out how can you get your conversion rate up on your store, how can you get your average order value up on your store, and then how can you get more repeat customers. Those are really kind of the three big levers on the other side that you can pull to increase your ability to spend more on acquiring customers. So think about things like one-click upsells post-purchase. Think about things like email marketing, SMS marketing to returning customers. Think about things like selling bundled products where if you buy 2, you get 1 free, or if you buy 3, you get 1 free, or if you buy this and this and this, it's instead of $70, it's $55, right? How can you get a customer that would normally spend $30 for your one product? How can you get them to spend $60 the first time and then come back 2.5 times on average, right? That would increase your lifetime gross margin to, let's say, instead of $20, now it's $120. Now you have 6 times the cost that you did before to be able to profitably acquire customers. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to be able to scale massively instead of being restrained by this $20 limit that you have on your cost per acquisition. So a lot of people spend a lot of time focusing on creatives and copy and targeting and platforms to run advertisements on. And like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think you do need to do that. But I think the much easier lever to pull is what you can ultimately control once people are on your site, which is how often do they check out once they land on the page, conversion rate. There's lots of tools that can help you optimize conversion rate optimizations. And really, like, how can I get people to spend more the first time? And then how can I get them to come back? A lot of people have email lists. They don't even email people. Or they have a list of, 5,000 phone numbers from customers that have purchased. They're not doing SMS marketing. So all that stuff is really important. And I think people focus too much on the ad platforms and they don't focus enough on the metrics that they can really control in their store.
How is AI changing the way people build and scale online stores?
Yeah, it's never been easier to open and operate an e-commerce store. This new technology that is AI, the thing that probably has gotten the easiest to do is to rapidly iterate on creatives, because you can get a creative that's like 80% of the way there with AI and then have an editor edit it or just make a few adjustments to it and launch a new creative. Whereas before it would take a lot of time and energy and work to do that. And then I think on the other side of things, customer service is another thing that AI has really stepped in on and has made a lot simpler and easier. There's lots of customer support AI tools coming out now. Customers that have questions about orders on your store, they really only have like the same 10, 15, 20 questions over and over and over again. So to train someone, to scale a team, to pay them, it really doesn't make too much sense anymore when you can feed the answers to an AI tool and have the AI tool, kind of do everything for you. So I think on the creative side and then on the customer support side, those are kind of the highest leverage AI tools right now.
If you had to start a new e-commerce brand today from scratch, what would you sell and why?
So this is an interesting question because I wouldn't sell what I want to sell necessarily. If my goal was to build and scale a store as quick as I could, it wouldn't be a passion project for me. What I would do is I would do some research on what's trending, what people are buying right now, what people care about, what they spend their money on, which right now is, I'll tell you right now, like the game is supplements. People are creating humongous brands overnight for supplements, whether it's creatine or electrolytes or creatine gummies or, other supplements that like people really care about their health right now and they're spending a lot of money on it. And so the answer is like, I'm not passionate about supplements. And I think it's important to call out that like I wouldn't, if my goal was to start and build a huge e-commerce business, I wouldn't start with like, what am I passionate about? I would start with what are people buying and what are they interested in? And I think supplements is probably the area that I would go in just from my experience in the industry. But I would encourage you to do some research on what people are caring about, what they're talking about on social, what are they spending their money on. I mean, you can see it all over social feeds, like supplement galore on social. There's a new brand popping up every day. So at this very moment in time, that's what I would do.
What does your typical day look like as Zendrop's COO managing global operations?
Typical day, I wake up between 6 and 7 a.m. I chill for a little bit. I get a workout in, and then I head to the office around between 8:30 and 9:30. And I have a couple of standing meetings every day. Usually when I wake up, I'll talk to our team in China for a little bit, and then a couple standing meetings with the fulfillment team and with the account management team and the sales team. And then the rest of my day really is spent, number one, beating Jared, our CEO, in ping pong. That's the main thing. And then I'll also spend a lot of time thinking about how we can improve the experience. And I work very closely with the product team as well, because I'm very close to the fulfillment team, the account management team, the sales team, and I'm understanding what are the things that they need and what are the things that our users need, and communicating those things to our product team and our technology team, and helping find ways to get value to our users, more value to our users in the quickest way possible. So I'll work with designers and developers and product managers to be able to figure out what is the kind of quick win here. Like, there's this new idea that we have, there's a perfect version of it, but we could probably ship something in the next 2 to 3 weeks that brings real value to users, and then work on kind of building the ultimate end state of it over time. But that's kind of like the main thing that I do right now, I would say. And then head home around 4 or 5 o'clock, and usually play a little golf, eat dinner with the girlfriend, chill. We're watching Game of Thrones right now, so that's kind of the vibe right now, and then go to sleep and do it all over again.
What's been your biggest leadership lesson since building Zendrop into a major platform?
I think that recognizing, acknowledging, and praising people's efforts and the good work that they do, and promoting people really fast that you can tell kind of have it, probably the most important thing that I've learned. We've had many different people that we've hired over the years, and we've hired a lot of people that were like starting at entry-level positions, actually, who rose through the ranks very quickly because they had like this, it's called founders mentality, where like they have radical ownership of everything that they do. They think like an owner. They're solving problems that aren't necessarily their problems. And those people are very, very rare to find. And so when you do recognize that someone's going out of their way to do those things, I think it's really important to not only praise those people and reward them, but move them up through the company, regardless of their current status, regardless of their education level, regardless of anything that their resume says, because the real resume for someone, especially someone who works here, is what they're doing right now and what kind of impact they're having and what kind of person that they are. And I think that the number one thing that I've learned in leadership is those people need to be praised, they need to be rewarded, and they deserve recognition, and they deserve more compensation, and they deserve more responsibility because they've proven that they can handle it. Like, I don't really care what someone's resume says. I care what they do in their day-to-day and how they operate.
How do you handle stress and decision fatigue in such a demanding role?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question, and I'm still trying to figure it out, honestly. But I think, like, you got to know what kind of person you are. Like, meaning, are you a morning person? Are you an afternoon person? Are you an evening person? Like, we have different prototypes as human beings. I'm much more of a morning person. So I know that I have to block out my calendar every day before 11 a.m. because 11 a.m. are when my recurring meetings start, and I have usually calls from 11 to 3 or 11 to 4 or 11 to 5. And I know once 11 o'clock hits, I'm going to have basically just enough energy to run those meetings and be productive in those meetings. And I'm not really getting much else done for the day. So that's why I try to wake up early. I get a workout in. I've like done all the things I need to do for my physical health that day. And from 8 or 9 to 11, there's that 2 or 3 hour work block where I throw headphones on and I just jam on stuff for the next 2 to 3 hours because I know that that's my most productive time of the day. And if I were to do that at, 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, or if I was going to try to do it in the middle of the day, like that just doesn't work for me. I only have so much brain power for the day, and then your decisions start to break down after a while, and your fatigue is a real thing, decision fatigue. I save that time of the day where I know I'm going to be the sharpest to make those decisions and to make my biggest impact that I can. So the way I do it is I just like to block my day out where I have a fixed amount of time that I know I'm going to be able to get stuff done. And then I know I'm going to have just enough energy left to kind of finish out the rest of the day on calls and meetings. And then I'm done for the day.
What's one thing every e-commerce founder should understand early in their journey?
They should understand that they're early in their journey, right? And that there's things that they are going to make mistakes on, and there's things that they don't know yet. And so every opportunity or every problem that seems like a problem really is an opportunity to be able to learn something and to be able to not make the mistake again. And the cool part is, if you're earlier in your journey, if you make a mistake, it should be the smallest mistake that you make of that kind ever in your life, right? Because you're going to progress, you're going to continue to get bigger and better. Your business is going to continue to get bigger and better. So the cool thing about making mistakes early on is that they're relatively small mistakes, right? It might seem like a big mistake to you at the time, might seem like a lot of money to you at the time, but having that perspective of like, in 10 years, I'm going to look back at this and laugh, I think is really important, because I've been caught there too, where like I make a mistake or something goes wrong and I think it's the end of the world. And like, if you ask me about that stuff now, even 5 years later, I don't even really remember it. And it's kind of funny that I thought it was such a big deal in the first place. So I think like just having the perspective that like knowing that you're early on, like if you're 21 watching this and like you have an e-commerce store, you are so far ahead of 99.9% of the world. It's crazy. So like, if you make a mistake, learn from it, move on, know that it's going to be the smallest mistake that you likely ever make again, because you're just going to keep progressing and getting bigger, and your mistakes are going to get bigger. So it's cool that you learn that mistake now. You can move on and not do it again, when now you have a business doing a couple $1 million a year versus in 10 years from now, you have a business doing $50 million a year. If you didn't make that mistake on the $2 million business, it would have been a much bigger mistake at 50 million. So I think that's good perspective to have.
What's next for Zendrop in 2025? Any new features, expansions, or major goals?
Yeah, so 2025 is wrapping up here, but we are releasing a couple really exciting features on Zendrop, like inventory management and custom order tracking pages. We get a lot of clients who want to hide China as the country of origin for shipments, which we're going to be able to do now using Zendrop, using our custom tracking page, where we'll send the tracking link straight to your Shopify customers, and they'll be able to click the link, and that will go to a custom branded page that looks like you designed, which you can toggle, like give me all the updates or hide the updates from the country of origin, like China, and really to be able to customize your experience for your customers. And inventory management has always been a big thing in Zendrop. Right now, we do a lot of it manually because it's a little bit complex, but we're building that into our product now to give you much better understanding of how much inventory you have, when you need to buy more, and a nice like demand planning software within Zendrop, so you can more actively manage your inventory effectively. Thank you so much, guys, for watching the video. That concludes this Q&A section. Again, we are going to be doing more Q&A styles like this, so if you have any questions that you want me to answer, leave them in the comments down below and we'll get to them next time. And if you've made it this far, please throw us a like, comment, subscribe for the algorithm. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one.